Breaking news on CBS Sports HQ, the Trevor Bauer sweepstakes is over and the LA Dodgers are the winner. The Dodgers and the New York Mets were the two teams openly vying for Bauer's services. Bauer won the NL Cy Young last season after going 5-4 with a 1.73 ERA, 100 strikeouts, 2 complete games, 2 shutouts, and only 16 unintentional walks in 73 innings. We also have him as the All-Star, finished 6th in the AL Cy Young voting in 2018 and now the newest member of the LA Dodgers. So to break this down, get all the latest, we welcome in our Jim Bowden. Now, Jim, I think we were all thinking that this was going to be an announcement that Trevor Bauer was going to be the next New York Mets player. So where do you think that this decision changed and what was going on behind the scenes?
Well, I think behind the scenes, Trevor Bauer's #1 goal is he wanted to win a world championship, and to go to the defending world champions certainly checks that box. The other thing that was an emphasis from him from the very beginning was analytics, technology, and being able to share cutting edge information on how to improve as a pitcher. And the Dodgers won that checkbox over the New York Mets as well. And Bauer was very clear on YouTube throughout the process that that was going to be his first 2 priorities. And the Dodgers beat the Mets in those 2 categories. Now, the one area where the Mets beat the Dodgers, according to Trevor Bauer, is the Mets had more money on the table for Bauer than the Dodgers did. He took less money to go to LA, thought there was a better chance of winning a world championship. More importantly, a better chance of having a partnership in terms of really being able to share the latest data, information, cutting edge to pitch and win. He used the Mets pretty smartly on his website. He took a picture of a Mets hat and put it out there early this morning. They made sure they leaked out that the Mets were in this thing and had a deadline, which apparently they didn't have. But they did everything they could to get the Dodgers to improve their offer. But at the end of the day, the offer the Dodgers have on the table was enough for Trevor Bauer to accept less and stay home in Los Angeles, where he went to UCLA.
Can you break down what you were hearing about this, the whole rumor about the Mets having a deadline and the latest that you've found out about that?
Yeah, there's no doubt that, look, the Mets were in on this thing from the very beginning, and they were offering a record AAV salary of $40 million and allowing the player to opt out after the first 2 years, which is pretty inviting. And all indications were that he was leaning towards the Mets. But at the end of the day, I think we found out that really wasn't the case. And Sandy Alderson privately had been concerned that he was being used to drive up the price in LA. That probably ends up being the case here with him landing there. But again, I think when we circle back and kind of look at what his goals were, the Dodgers do fit probably better than the Mets do. But more importantly for LA, they've answered the San Diego Padres, who had a tremendous offseason getting Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, and Joe Musgrove to improve the rotation. The Dodgers answered loudly with the Cy Young Award winner today. And imagine the rotation now of Clayton Kershaw, Walker Buehler, Trevor Bauer, David Price, who's going to come back, Julio Urias. That's your 5. And then you have the depth of Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May. So the Dodgers have built arguably the best rotation right now in baseball. And they're primed and will be the favorites when Vegas gets the odds out later tonight. They'll be the favorites to repeat in 2021 because of the Bauer signing.
Yeah, let's dive a little bit deeper into that, looking at that rotation. Can you take us through exactly how you think it's going to play out and what he's really adding to this rotation at the LA Dodgers?
I mean, when you look at what he did in 2018 and 2020, he was an ace, a #1 starter. And as we watch Clayton Kershaw, he was so good last year winning his first world championship, but he also had limited innings because of the truncated season. Bauer's going to provide the big innings. I mean, this is a guy that wants to pitch on 4 days, every 4th day, which obviously they're not going to let him do. But there's no doubt the innings that Bauer provides is extremely important because they've got to be careful with Kershaw. Buehler's a guy that they want to make sure they don't put too many innings on his arm. And the rest of the rotation, Price, Urias, Gonsolin, May, are all guys that everyone's going to have to watch their innings this year. So Bauer not only provides the Cy Young ability and talent he showed this past year, but more importantly, he brings to the table a 3rd starter that they can count on 180 innings with.
You were talking about the strength of the Padres and everything that they've added. So do you see the LA as being the top contender now?
I don't think there's any doubt the Dodgers will be the favorites to win the West. Padres will be a favorite to get one of the wild card berths. But in terms of the odds, I think you'll find the Bauer signing will put the Dodgers right at the top of the list here. They still have some business to do. They still have to deal with the third base situation. They want Justin Turner to return on a short-term deal. Turner's also listening to an offer that the Milwaukee Brewers have brought to the table for him as well. But I think the Bauer signing will allow Turner to go back and try to help the Dodgers try to win back-to-back world championships here.
It's always interesting kind of seeing the off-the-field antics of some of these players. Bauer obviously known as being an outspoken, fun type of player. How do you think that will fit in with the LA scene?
Well, I mean, LA's been used to some dramatic players. You remember Yasiel Puig and the drama that he brought to the clubhouse every single day. I will say this about Trevor Bauer. There's mixed reactions to him. Cleveland viewed him a certain way, but this past year with the Reds, he was well liked in the clubhouse and with the front office. He loves social media. That's not going to change. He wanted to make sure whoever he signed with was willing to allow him to do his YouTube and Snapchat and Twitter and Facebook and everything else that he likes to do. So that's going to continue. And he really wanted to create a partnership to share information. So I think Bauer's going to fit in fine. This is a Dodger clubhouse that are the defending world champions. They're led by strong leaders like Clayton Kershaw and Mookie Betts now. Bauer will fall in line here, do his role, and he doesn't have to do too much on this team. Just be a part of getting out there, providing the innings, winning his 15 to 20 games, and trying to win the big games in October.
Now, before we let you go, I know we're still waiting on those final figures to come in, but what are you hearing as far as the money goes? How much is this contract for?
I don't have the actual figures. I've reached out to both sides. I don't have them right now. I'm expecting a high average annual value. I'm expecting a short-term deal, and I'm expecting opt-outs every year of the deal. That's my expectations as of now. But I do think you're going to find it's going to be a record-breaking AAV, which means it's going to be north of $36 million.
All right, Jim Bowden, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you later on CBS Sports HQ as we just found out that Trevor Bauer is the newest LA Dodger.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.